Beneath a steel-gray sky, the tracker halts. Frozen breath clouds hang like ghosts. A journal lies half-buried, pages scrawled with asterisk anomalies in the ice asterisk. A single phrase underlined thrice. Asterisk Project Frostful asterisk. The Hoarfrost Reach. Frozen breath clouds hang like ghosts, once teeming, now breathes in fractured silence. What did the Expeditions Guild logs seek in this bone-vanished, choked expanse? What did the Expeditions Guild logs seek in this bone-vanished, choked expanse? Only this relic remains, a cipher carved into permafrost. Velkhana's dominion began here, or ended. The tracker's hand tightens on their blade. Somewhere in the white, the past thaws. The crunch of ice under bootless feet, a silence thicker than snow. Velkhana's veil doesn't merely freeze, it calcifies. Lakes become tombstones. Trees crystallize mid-scream. The guild's shadow lingers here, where ambition once boiled like a forge. They sought a weapon, not a god. Yet their failed experiments equal dragon's ash, the shattered star metal pale beside this. What if their accidents were seeds? What if Velkhana is the harvest? The air reeks of ozone and decay, a byproduct of frost that gnaws from the inside out. No creature flees this death, they become part of it. The guild's ledger of hubris has a new entry, ecosystems erased, not conquered. Who then is the true colossus? The ice or the hands that shaped it? The Hoarfrost Reach was not Velkhana's home, it became her prison. Guild archives log her emergence concurrent with their New World colonization timing, too precise for coincidence. Hunters Guild protocols demand oversight of taxonomic frontier entities, yet Velkhana's Subzero aura defies natural adaptation. Her frost does not merely kill, it erases calcifying prey into spectral husks. The guild's own field journals note ecosystem homogenization as her dominion expanded. A weapon, by any definition, requires a wielder. Who sanctioned the ice's hunger, who tracked its spread with clinical detachment? The guild's mandate was balance, yet their ledgers tally species lost in Hoarfrost's wake. They did not create Velkhana. But they chose to let her thrive. A dragon's wrath is chaos. A guild-engineered cataster is strategy. The Hoarfrost's silence speaks louder than any roar. What does a frozen world owe its makers? And who now bears the weight of that debt? The Hoarfrost's silence was not empty. Guild logs from Iceborne's final years detail a pattern, ice advancing not as climate but as conquest. Researchers noted how Velkhana's veil devoured warmth, not merely reflecting it but rejecting it. One entry scrawled in trembling hand declares, the frost does not spread, it replaces. The guild's mandate was balance. Yet their own records show expeditions escalating contact with Velkhana, provoking its emergence from the deep ice. Not study. Not containment, acceleration. The ice veil's self-reinforcing nature defied explanation until the logs admit what no scholar dared say aloud. The guild had in part, engineered the conditions for its return. A paradox now chills the archives. The same institution sworn to wildlife management funneled resources into understanding Velkhana's power, not to scent it, but to map it. To what end? The answer lies in the extinction events. Entire species erased where the ice thickened, not by accident. By design, what weapon needs no trigger? What dominion requires only presence? The guild's hand is not explicit, but their choices are. They knew the ice was unnatural. They knew it grew asterisk. And still they watched. The Hoarfrost Reach is a monument to that choice. A frozen testament to the cost of curiosity and the price of power left unchecked. Did the guild seek to harness Velkhana? Or merely to observe the scale of its ruin? The logs offer no answer. Only the silence of a world that forgot how to thaw. The Schrade archives whisper of ice that did not belong. Their alchemists in their hubris forged frost from void until the land choked on it. Centuries later, the guild's equal dragon weapon incident repeats the same sin. A monster's power, twisted to break balance, became a wound that bled ecosystems white. How many cycles of this have we buried in the snow? Velkhana's dominion is no accident. The Hoarfrost Reach, once teeming, now gasps beneath glaciers that grow with purpose. Its breath is not nature's rhythm, but a byproduct of something forced into being. The guild's logs, redacted and fragmented, hint at Project Anomaly Containment in the same era. Experiments to bind primal forces and the monster that answered, adaptive intelligence. The term appears in both Schrade's final reports and modern studies of Velkhana's behavior. Not mindless frost, but a will reshaping its world to survive. What if the guild did not create this ice? What if they merely provoked it, their weapons, their traps, their failed gods, each a provocation? Each a spark in kindling they refused to see. The equal dragon was abandoned after it devoured its handlers. Velkhana's reach continues unchallenged. Is this the pattern? Not just monsters rising, but humans repeating the same mistakes with greater stakes. The ice does not forgive, it remembers, and it adapts. What waits beneath the next layer of snow? The question lingers, colder than the air. 259 words. Frontier scouts noted it, riders' journals confirmed it. The Hoarfrost Reach froze in stages, as if time itself hesitated. Animals stood motionless, breath suspended, eyes wide with silent terror. Guild ledgers from the Iceborne era list Velkhana's emergence as a calculated risk. Siege-class commissions, elder crossings, the great migrations were framed as survival. But what if survival demanded sacrifice? Expedition logs describe the Iceborne event, a blight of Subzero air, a silence thicker than snow. Velkhana's domain grew not by hunger but by design. The riders called it a nightmare made cold. No record admits intent. Yet the math is there, a species erased, a biome reshaped, a god's wrath harnessed. The guild did not create Velkhana. But they chose the ground where it would rise. What if the Hoarfrost's death was not an accident? What if it was a blueprint? The ice does not whisper answers, it only remembers and waits. 259 words. The guild's ledger is a ledger of lies. Capture vs Slay protocols exist to study, not destroy. Yet Velkhana's frost reshaped Hoarfrost into a graveyard. Taxonomic frontier entities demand caution. Elder dragons demand reverence. What compels the guild to let Velkhana burn? Not curiosity, not ethics, a colder calculus. Every frozen lake, every silenced herd a data point in their experiment. The ice does not kill, the guild's inaction does. They knew the cost, let the frost spread, let the bestiary's gaps widen. Let the world forget what perished beneath the white. Velkhana is not their weapon. Their weapon is the choice to let her be. What remains when the ledger's final page is turned, a species erased. A truth buried and the guild's shadow stretching longer over the snow. The guild's taxonomic frontiers demand order. Elder dragons, unclassifiable, become problems to solve. Their archives throb with failed attempts to cage the uncageable until Velkhana. Ice veil not as armor, but as evidence. Frostbitten logs, brittle bones of extinct megafauna, all point to a single truth. The guild's cryogenic vectors left a scar. Not a wound, a frostbitten epoch. Consider the equal dragon weapon, a beast reduced to a projectile. What follows is pattern, not coincidence. Velkhana's Subzero kinetics, once studied in sterile labs, now rage unchained. The Hoarfrost Reach, once teeming, now breathes in fractured gasps. Its rivers glass over, not from winter, but from a process accelerate-engineered. The guild's ledgers, dry and clinical, note anomalous thermal inversion, but omit the hands that turn the dial. What does taxonomy become when the specimen outgrows its cage? Velkhana's roar is no longer a sound. It is a frequency, a resonance of failed containment. The ice does not shield her, it amplifies her. Every frozen breath a byproduct of their hunger for leverage. The ecosystems collapse, collateral in their calculus. The Hoarfrost's silence is not absence, it is a ledger's final page, written in frost. The guild's shadow stretches longer now, not just over snow, but over consequence. And in that shadow a question festers, when the experiment becomes the cadaster who counts the cost. The guild's hands, once steady on the scales of balance, now bear frostbite. Capture vs Slay protocols, cornerstones of their creed, shattered the illusion of their stewardship. Velkhana's dominion was no accident, a deliberate provocation, a test. The Hoarfrost Reach, a crucible for an experiment that boiled ice into weapon. How many species froze mid-flight? How many graves did they dig with their own claws? The voice cracks here. Schrade's fall was not a warning. It was a rehearsal, the cold N, a kingdom's breath stolen by a force the guild could not contain. What does a hunter learn when the hunter becomes the catalyst? That survival demands sacrifice. That preservation can wear a mask of annihilation. The Iceborne logs whisper of a cataclysm. We call it natural. What if it is verdict? The guild's ledger is not one of lives saved, but lives rerouted, a frozen arithmetic. The question is not asterisk if asterisk they knew. It is how many knew and stayed silent. The Shrade spire still weeps. Its ice is not memory, it is accountability, and beneath every shard a truth. Some frontiers once crossed become prisons. For the hunter, for the hunted, for the world. The frozen cataclysm, a tragedy, a myth, or a calculated purge. The guild's ledgers whisper of Iceborne trials experiments that spiraled, like the equal dragon's ruin. The Hoarfrost Reach, once teeming, now breathes in silence. What if Velkhana's dominion was no accident? What if frost was the catalyst, not the consequence? The Iceborne expedition didn't merely stumble into a storm, they unleashed one. A dominion forged in cold equations, leaving ecosystems shattered, the guild's hands stained with ice and extinction. But who dared record the truth? The snows bury more than bones, they bury choices. And every buried choice demands a reckoning. The wilderness watches, will you? Beneath the ice the guild carved chambers. The equal dragon's failure was no accident, a failed prototype or a calculated sacrifice. Their experiments did not kill the Hoarfrost, but they may have birthed what did. Dossier 0